Hello. Hello.
Hello, gorgeous. Oh my goodness, we are live across all the platforms tonight. How cool is that?
I know. Modern technology, and we're live. We've made it. We're here.
I know. What do you think of that intro?
Yeah.
It seemed quite serious, actually.
Yeah.
You're looking gorgeous.
As are you, my love. Hot and I was going to say hot and sweaty, but that's not what we're not. Hot and sweaty.
It really is.
Hot and
glowing. Scotland, we definitely don't have air conditioning for this weather. So,
well, do you know, I did wonder if I was going to come on going, oh, it's so hot, and you'd come on going, it's raining.
It's gorgeous. The only thing is that I decided I'm going to get a nice quiet space at home. And what's happened is that everybody's out in their gardens having a bit of a party. So all the music's going, and I've had to shut all the windows tonight. So folks, if my hair starts to drip off my head, you know,
we start frizzing up.
Oh, but it's so good to be here, and it's so lovely that you have actually offered to do this. Oh my goodness, what have I let myself in for?
Well, I'm quite excited to do it because I'm quite intrigued, to be honest, because I've seen this this change in you and the business, and I just really wanted to, you know, and I know that it's deeper than just a logo and some colours, and
Yeah.
you know, I know that really there's a story behind this, and I think it's really important that you get that out there because it's such a huge part of what you're trying to do, and you know where the Fierce and Fabulous Society is going to be going. And I think it's really important to know that story and have that background to it. So yeah,
I know that when I launched just last week the Fierce and Fabulous Society, so there's a way to say it, and I actually tried to do a video, Kim, and it's like when we had this conversation before we decided to do this, and I tried about 10 times and I was bored, rigid, filming it. So it didn't feel authentic, and the whole thing about the new brand was its authenticity and its alignment to my own integrity. And it was no fun. God gave me the most amazing mouth. Big teeth, big mouth. I can fit an orange in it, and I love conversation. And that was a party trick. And then suddenly I was sitting talking to myself about the most passionate thing that I have and my specialist subject, which is me. You know, it's literally the only subject you would ever want me on your pub quiz team for, because otherwise I am crap at that. My recall is terrible. So this is lovely. I honestly have no idea what you are going to ask me. So I am just a wee bit nervous. I'm just
nervous. But like I say, I know like we can talk, can't we? So I'm going to try and keep us on track. But, you know, ultimately, first of all, actually, Marianne, just introduce, just in case people that are watching don't know you and what you do. Who are you? What do you do in your business life and work life?
Well, I have a few companies, but my main activity is around my coaching company. So I'm a transformation and business coach. And in a nutshell, Kim, I create fierce and fabulous business women.
Brilliant.
And it is the most amazing space. And I feel really blessed, very grateful to be able to do it, whether that's through the one-to-one clients that I have, because the connection you have is quite incredible, or my group programs where the energy in there is so high. Or I also work with my husband to help scale bigger companies, and he's a chartered accountant. So hiya, Paul. He's a chartered accountant, and we do a few of them in a year, and it's a lot of fun because we get to work together. So it's all good stuff.
Brilliant. I'm just reading some of these lovely comments. So with the coaching, who are these fierce and fabulous women when they come to you? Where are they on their journey? Where are they when they come to you?
It's funny because when people ask me, they're always kind of looking for an age, right? And what I've learned at being 50, age does not matter. I have had women in my room that are mid-20s right up to early 70s. How cool is that?
That is super cool.
How incredibly cool is that? And of course, we're all living longer. And even at 70, Joe, if you live till you're 100, 30 years of living.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you want to be living as the best woman you can possibly be, as the woman you were put on this earth to be? And at every decade of my life, that identity has shifted. And it's really important to be able to respond to that. But the main part is that it's usually women about 35 to 55 kind of age. They have maybe leaving corporate, wanting to have an incredible business, or maybe in corporate. Oh gosh, I remember that. And not feeling like they are really showing up as the fierce, fabulous women that they really are. Do you know that whole feeling? Maybe just have had a young family, and I've kind of for that period, I recognise that one. You have to put them first.
Yeah.
But it's now your time.
Yeah. And feeling boxed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, especially when you've had kids and you're hitting that 30, 40 kind of mark, and you're starting to look, as they're becoming more independent, look inwards at yourself and go, who am I? Because I look back at pictures and I think, I don't feel like that anymore. Mm-hmm. I love being a mum and I love this family life, but there's something missing now and I just don't know what. Or we're reaching that point where people are starting to talk about retirement, but they've still got 10 years left. And I think there must be more. There must be more. And so many women come in saying, what is the more in my life? And it's always a privilege when someone is courageous enough, brave enough to even step into my room to have a conversation with me. Because that's bravery in itself. Majority of people don't do it. I never did it for 20 years. I probably knew I needed a coach. Yeah. At least 15 of them anyway. And I thought I could do this myself. Reality was I knew I couldn't. I didn't know how. And I was too scared. And that was what was stopping me. I kept saying I didn't have the money. It was nothing to do with money for me. I still went on holiday.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean?
But it's also as well, it's the not investing in yourself. It's not, women, we're not taught to, not just women really, it's about investing in yourself. And so many of us don't do that, but we will have the holidays and we will have the cars and the clothes. But when it comes to investing in ourselves, it's like, well, it's not tangible, and it's just like, it's like a waste of money. I still have conversations with friends of mine who are not of that mindset, and I don't even bother telling them off how much I invest in my own development.
I mean, I think back, I did a lot of work in public service, and I can remember being really strong in my belief that it was more like a vocation. I was there to care, give back, it was my duty, all of that. It actually, the one person I didn't look after in that whole process was me. Mm-hmm. And never invested in myself, looked towards my employer the entire time to spend the money on my development and my investment, even though, and I remember once I wasn't really happy for a couple of years because I wasn't getting the invest. I think it was about £3,000. And I felt that this particular course would transform what I could do in the organisation and transform me. And they didn't give me funding for it. And it wasn't because they didn't give me funding for other things. But I was so focused on them holding me back. And when I look at it now, they weren't holding me back at all. If it was so important, if it was going to have such an impact, I had to take responsibility.
Yeah.
I had to take that responsibility to invest in myself. And I never did.
But that, again, it's the journey, isn't it? The journey. Like now, I know you would think nothing of doing that. I would think nothing of doing that. But if I look back, and when the kids were young as well, we're just not society. It is changing. I think it is starting to change. But this whole, rhetoric of, we've looked up maybe to our parents and our mothers who maybe, didn't put themselves first, and then we pick up that, and we have to break those molds and step out of those molds, and it can feel really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable at first, I think.
And I see it. There are changes afoot, and of course, my daughters have had a very different experience. They didn't always appreciate me, I tell you. Growing up with me was challenging, and one of the favourite sayings I had is they would come in and so-and-so's doing this is happening, blah, blah, blah. And I would say, what do you want to happen? Cutting through, what do you want to happen? And they go, oh, I hate you when you say that. And they go stonking out. But actually, it pushed them to be in a different mindset from their peers, to see through things, to constantly being asking themselves, how do I value me in this? Yeah. What decision do I make to value me? Because unless I value me, I can't show up and value anybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm in this year, Kim, I am in my empty nest year. This is the year I am going to have an empty nest. Yeah. And it kind of snuck up and bit me on the bum without me noticing. But the beautiful thing about it, both girls are still in the house at the moment, and it is a joy. I mean, a real joy to share space with confident, intelligent, empowered, amazing young women. It's quite incredible. And I see my eldest daughter started her first company last year at 21 after finishing university. And the growth in her over the last year has been phenomenal. And my other daughter, she was able to, I remember, she's a mini me. And I remember she came to me last year saying, I've got a choice. I can either do this very technical, I can't even remember what it was, maybe it was a graphic engineering or something like that, or I can do a degree in fine art. What one do you think I should do? And I said to her, well, what one do you want to do? What's your feelings? She says, I think I'm going to do the designy thing because I'll make more money. And I said, okay. I says, what if they both made the same amount of money? And she went, oh, I'd do fine art. No hesitation. And I said to her, well, that's the only one you have. There's no choice here. You need to do that, because the only thing holding you back from doing what your body truly knows it needs to do is this fear of not making money. Yeah. There's nothing stopping you from making twice as much money as an artist than there is in the other one. It's only this. And see, the moment she got that permission, she never looked back. And little did she know, I faced the same decision at her age, and the system around me then was a much more safe and scarce one, and they were too busy saying, in the best intention in the world,
oh yeah, no,
pension,
yeah,
do you know? And don't get me wrong, I went on to university and I got a degree in occupational therapy, and that profession served me really, really well over the years. So I have no complaints at all, but I am so grateful for the journey that I have had, all the ups and downs, because I can see how it's influenced my daughters.
Yeah.
And, so when folk talk to me about legacy and what does success look like, everything I do from this day forward is just bonus stuff, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's already done, and they're about to go out and have their own incredible adventure. And it's lovely that they look at you and you feel the love in their eyes, and they can't wait to tell you about what they're doing when they're not here. And that's beautiful. So I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful.
And it's a new stage of your relationship. It's a new stage, a new part of your relationship, and it will just continue to grow, because you have got that relationship. You know, I've got that with my daughter. My daughter was such a strong-willed child, I can't tell you. And I look at people now and I just think, you know, and they're like, my daughter, she's just drives it. And I'm like, good, because one day she is going to be a strong, empowered woman that knows her own mind, that isn't pulled this way or that way, that looks after herself. And you will be so pleased that you had this strong-willed woman. But but it can be quite.
But there's the process. I always say to the girls, that time between 14 and 19.
My God. Yeah.
Oh, that was really unpleasant.
Yeah, I won't go through that again, but all the tea in China. So, okay, so take us through, because you've given us sort of a bit of an insight into you and to how you've brought that into your brand, because your branding has really changed, you know, from this, there's so much more energy in it. You know, I can see just so much more energy, so much more fire in it, you know, fierce. Yes. What was the story behind that? And I know that you didn't find that easy.
That's an understatement of the century. I mean, I actually think that it was one of the hardest things I did. And I totally get that. See, when people start businesses, and I did this, I've done this, so completely in there. I'll get a logo, brand. Oh, yeah. That'll be fine. A few colours. It's all about the superficial stuff. Oh, my goodness, it's not. It's so not. And about the turn of the year, did my first serious rebrand or proper branding exercise for the business. And at that point, the business was called We Achieve Associates. It just feels so alien.
Yeah. Quite
so
straight.
This tells you where I was coming from. I have been on that journey of being a very corporate life.
Yes.
And it was my identity, that highest force. I was acknowledged for what I could do. I was applauded for what I could do. I performed at a high level for what I could do. I was recognised for who I was. And I brought that through into my business life, even when it was a point of, I've actually been able to leave that. I'd done that big step, but I didn't realise I'd carried that identity through with me. And it was leaking everywhere. So this new woman who had taken the big step was feeling real disruption all the time. And
when you say, can I just stop you? When you say it was leaking everywhere, give me some examples of how that was kind of showing up for you.
Oh my goodness. See, honestly, folks, go back. I've not got tons on YouTube yet, but if you go back into my LinkedIn profile, even go back a year ago, hello, my name is Marianne Jo. Who is that? Who is that? Because she was so worried about offending people, saying the right thing, being professional, what professional meant and how that would be perceived. I'd come out started this company thinking, right, I've come from an executive coaching role latterly. And but I'm just going to play with coaching lots of different types of people. So I wasn't in one niche. I'd opened myself up to experiencing lots of different types of people and situations and industries, which was amazing. But imagine the confusion and disruption that causes with this high identity saying, you can't work with people like that. They're not the right people for you. You can't say that with them. They'll think you're unprofessional. Nobody will work with you. All of this nonsense. And all the way through the disruption was because in here, the woman my body knew I was all this time was saying, Pet, what are you doing? And if you got me in the coaching space, I was not that woman. I mean, for anybody watching this that has worked with me, I can swear a little bit. Sometimes I come out with some corkers of sentences. We talk about fur coat and knee knickers. We are on our feet. There is energy in the room. We are honest. We are vibrant. We are authentic. We are true. There is just this abundant energy. And as someone who I did Latin American and ballroom competitive dancing in my youth, and that connection to yourself and your movement in your body, I really heavily use that intelligence in my coaching. But suddenly, out on online, Kim, I looked like Boris Johnson's right-hand woman. I looked like I should have been leading his Conservative Party political campaign. And that was, do you know that the journalists were going to find out what I was doing behind closed doors?
But also, so you're attracting these people in and then showing up as this, stunning force of energy and probably people weren't expecting it.
No. So they would come in. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, but, you know, the thing of that move from corporate is a lot of women are in that position in corporate whereby they are maybe disconnected from who they really are because the identity they have to have in that space. So do you find that in the women that you coach that they really quite like you in your fur coat and no knickers?
Yeah. I often, an analogy I always use is like when they come in, I always felt like for years I was dressed in a 1920s bathing suit to my ankles. And really, I wanted to strip off and run out in a bikini. Do you know, the itsy bitsiest kind of type. And what I realise now is that although the corporate structure served me well, gave me security, you know, pay, recognition, all of these things, it was like it was here the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't, you had to conform the whole time. And I just thought that who I was at that point was who I was.
Yeah.
And that's who I would always be. And everybody else was doing the same. And then I realized when I stepped out that actually that's not true. And it was pretty scary because when you step out from behind here, you go from being in this big swimsuit to feeling like you're naked.
Yes.
You know, and you go back to clinging on to what you know. And that for me was, hello, I'm Mary Ann Smith of We Achieve Associates. Do you know, as I was clinging on to what I knew. And you only know what you know in any moment. But that voice kept saying, this still doesn't feel right. It still doesn't feel right. And so even after the first rebrand, go back and look at it, folks. It is hilarious. But I remember I went out and I bought Ralph Lauren Jessie's nice pearls. Went to a nice loch resort with the marina to get, what was that all about, you know? And I was really proud of them at the time. Really, really proud of them at the time. But it still wasn't right. And I then went on to keep pushing it. I actually felt for a long time it made it difficult to show up online authentically. I felt I wasn't being my true self. And it stopped me from showing up sometimes. It felt like, do you know when your kitchen's dirty and you don't want to invite anybody into the house until it's clean? It felt like my kitchen was dirty and I didn't want to put myself out there. I didn't, because it didn't feel true. And I'm really lucky to work with some amazing people. And James Burt, who's helping me do a podcast, hiya James, did lovely. That man deserves a medal for his patience, I tell you, with me. As he held on tight, because at one point I was ready about 5 months ago to launch a podcast, and it was called Made to Be You. And I had the whole narrative. I recorded about 3 podcasts with different people, and I realised that I was bored rigid recording them. Now, a bit like us doing this, you have to listen to that. Yeah. And I went on a call with him, he was expecting to make it move. And I had to say, I need to stop because this isn't true. I don't know what the answer is. It's not true. So over the next 2 months, I went to the other extreme.
I'm just listening to you thinking how frustrated you must have been because you're desperate to go. You want to move forward. You've got these big ideas. You've done this new rebrand. You're ready to go and break out, and yet you know it's not right. And you just keep, it sounds like you just kept hitting brick walls.
Yeah. I actually felt at that point when I had that conversation with James, do you know, it felt like I'd got to the altar on the day and had to say, actually, I don't want to marry you. Mm-hmm. But this time I was brave enough to say, sorry, folks, I don't want to get married today. I don't want to do this podcast. I know we're this far down the line, but it's not right. And he was amazing. He went, well, if it's not right, we don't do it. And I went on another journey of exploring, and I went to the opposite, Kim. Do you know what my next idea was? This is hilarious. It was going to be called Sexy Business. What is that about? What is that about? And because I thought,
tell me what you meant by that, because we've talked about this, haven't we? And sexy is a word that can be misconstrued. We were all sorts of different images come up. So for you, what did sexy business mean? What were you trying to achieve with that?
I'd just seen, I've said it before in this interview, fur coat and knee knickers, right? When people come into my room and they're saying, yeah, I've got this ambition, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing next thing, I ask key questions and I know their business is like fur coat and knee knickers, meaning that with putting out this amazing image, I'm smashing it, I'm doing this, I've got my PR, I've got everything else, but they're living in fear of somebody saying, can I hang up your coat? Because
I love it. I've never heard it. I've heard the saying. I love it. Okay.
They've no pants on. They've not got the revenue. They haven't got the structures in place. They're living hand to mouth every month. They don't have the leads. It's all an illusion, a complete illusion. And it's because some of the stuff, the knickers, can also be about the unsexy stuff. Do you know, the stuff that none of us want to do, the branding work, looking deep into your own identity, the financial planning, all of the transactional stuff that you go, oh, yeah, I'll get back to that. It's not that important. I've got it in my head. And actually, it so is important.
Yeah.
And so it was a bit of you're focusing on sexy business and what's the unsexy stuff. So it was around that kind of theme.
Okay.
You need the unsexy with the sexy, and that means bringing different people into your container of business, because that's the beautiful thing about it, is that it collects people of difference to make it successful. So that was the intention. But when I went out and looked, that isn't what came up really, that message, when I Googled it. I don't think I need to say anymore. And we decided that the chances of me getting a few funny pictures sent was probably quite high. And that, I thought, that doesn't feel like I'm valuing me.
No.
So I knew that wasn't right. And what I eventually did was just to clear the decks one day. And I sat and I wrote all the words that I thought described me, that I felt connected in all of that. And I then asked my coaching clients, all of them, to write down 3 words and send them to James. I had no idea what they would come back with. And honestly, it was make you greet. It really would. It was really beautiful. Everything from loving to warrior. Do you know, there was, I've known her it feels like I've known her my whole life within 2 minutes. And it was just a whole host of words. And when I pulled it into key ones, the first word that came up was vibrant. I am 50 years old. How amazing is that? And I feel like I still haven't quite started. I am just at the beginning.
Good.
My amazing life adventure. I am so grateful that my DNA and my use of Factor 50 sun cream is keeping my face no too shabby.
Up here rather than down here.
Somebody said to me about a month ago, so tell me, is it Botox? And I went, I've got a Klingon head. It's definitely no Botox. If it was Botox, I'm going to have to go back and complain. So I'm so grateful for my health, for my skin, for the feeling I have of being so vibrant. But I eventually thought to myself, I saw a picture and it was from the Holi festival in India. When, if anybody just Google it, it is amazing. Amazing splashes of colour everywhere and everybody's covered in it. And I thought, that's me. That's how I feel. I feel that colourful vibrancy. If I go into a shop, I go straight past anything that's white and I'm looking for primary colours, something that's really strong.
Yeah.
But I decided that was the feeling of the fierce, one of the feelings of the Fierce and Fabulous Society. But in actual fact, as a woman, I now feel fierce. And that's a word that if you take an old hat view on it, feels aggressive. But actually, it's more about being strong, being true, being bold, being bountiful, being able to stand on your own 2 feet and have your voice heard and be true to yourself, value yourself.
Yeah.
And that I see in my daughters. And at the other side, I love feeling just fabulous. It wasn't sexy, it was just fabulous. And when I looked back over some of my recorded coaching, group coaching program work, I use F words all the time, and I talk about F words. You know, fabulous, fierce. It's a bit of a joke actually with my clients. And so the Fierce and Fabulous Society kind of came from all of that. And the conversation I had with a woman called Nicola Rowley, who is a PR consultant, and I had a wee hour with her, and those words were definitely emerging, and suddenly, honestly, it just felt like something had come home.
Yeah.
And I also made a decision at that point that I loved working with women. Up until that point, I was mix and matching and within my group programs. And I decided that the Fierce and Fabulous Society would be my space for all the services that I would be sharing with the world for women.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't work with men, I work with them one-to-one, and we work with them if they're scaling their businesses. But this is a space for women because I'm too old to do the stuff that I don't enjoy, and I love doing this.
So what is the difference between the Fierce and Fabulous Society and the working with the guys, the stuff that you can just do more generically, I suppose, or anyway, you know, what is it that someone's going to get from coming and being a part of the Fierce and Fabulous Society?
I think what I've learned from coaching for the last 25 years on all different guises is I'm absolutely, I really was challenged for a long time at niching like that because I am so gender free. I couldn't care less. I also do not believe, I've been in some all women's communities and they're not pleasant. Do you know, they're really not. And I've had many a conversation when a woman said, oh, I'm not going to a network event because I don't like walking into a room full of suits. And I say, well, if they all wore dresses, would you feel any better? Do you know? You have to, the best places I have ever, the spaces I am in are mixed spaces, all full of difference. And my children, as they grew up, I would always teach them that family is the space that we are given to learn how to embrace difference, because you're born into it, you've no choice. Genetically, you can be poles apart, and you can make it a container where you learn to tolerate, embrace, and love one another despite difference. And if you do that in a family unit, you will go out and blow the world out the water, because it doesn't matter who you meet, you can have the best conversation, value yourself, bring out the best in them, and love the fact that they are different from you. And the reality is there's a 1 in 400 trillion chance of there being another me or being another you. So get used to it, folks. We are all different and we need to embrace all of that. Yeah, we need to celebrate all of that.
So with the women particularly, is it that, I mean, what I would also like to, I guess, think is, how much do you think has this been brought on by being 50, by your age, by the things that are happening to you in that, you know, you are gorgeous and vibrant and energetic, and let's be honest, really lucky to be that way, because I work with women too, and you know, not all women are blessed to have that energy and vibrancy at that age. It can be, you know, some people kind of skid into their 50s and it's a real shock for them. But for you, how much do you think of this whole transition is ingrained or linked, entwined is the word I'm looking for, it with you, with your age?
It feels like that this is the perfect time. Do you know, this is the time that I was meant to discover this. It really does. And I think that in the year leading up to being 50, when I was 49, I hired a health coach. I've always got a coach, but I hired a health one as well. And she was amazing, Deborah, hiya. And I wanted to go into my 50s being the most vibrant, best version of me. And I wasn't talking about being the skinniest version of me. Do you know, I've had 3 kids, I've breastfed all of them. These babies aren't going to look the same as they were when they were 21, and neither's my backside. It was not about that. It was about me being my best version, eating foods that brought me value, caring for myself in a way that was deep and rich. And even when I did all of that, Kim, I actually got quite a shock turning 50. I was, for the first time in my life, I felt there was an end point. Do you know how you bounce through life?
Right. Yeah.
It never happens to me. Suddenly, I knew that I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be in my achievements and my success, if that's what you want in life. There was more for me to discover about me. But now I felt like I was in a race. There was a race against time. And I do this exercise. It's called time squares. And if I live till I'm 90, I had used up a hell of a lot of squares. Mm-hmm. Do you know, I think it was something like, if I was to live till I was 90, I would have something like 700,000 days or whatever it was, hours to live. And I only had 300,000 left. And it felt like I have to hurry up. And so that's why I think that 6 months there has been pretty challenging, because I've had that sense of urgency.
Yes.
But maybe the sense of urgency also gave me the kick up the backside I needed to actually push some stuff forward.
I think when you have purpose as well, suddenly you feel like there's not enough time. Suddenly you're like, right, now I know, and I just want to get this going as quick as possible. And it just doesn't come, because you can't just make it come. You've almost got to give it that time and give it that space to find you.
Definitely.
But
definitely. Really and I think I was fighting it for a little while there.
Yeah.
And there's also this thing of no looking back. And I've had a ton of challenges. And if I said some of them in a certain way, it would sound like an X Factor edition. Do you know that thing when they say, in comes the wee woman that's 50, and inside you're going, oh God, Pet, I hope you can sing because it's looking bad. And then she comes out with a big story about her life and everybody starts to greet. We have all got stories like that if you package them in the right way, it will sound like that. I am grateful for every single challenge that I've had, because it's brought me here. And if they weren't there, I have no guarantee I would have been a better woman. I am here. And
you wouldn't have been as fierce.
Maybe I wouldn't have been as fierce. The most amazing people I have met in my life have been the ones that have faced such adversity. I mean, challenge, adversity, pain, and they have kept pushing through. And they have, despite it all, learned and grown and shifted and changed their identity and been reborn over and over again. And those are the inspirational people that I meet, definitely. So, and if I didn't have those experiences, I'm not able to be in a place to also understand and coach people going through similar things.
Absolutely. I think as well, I've had that like thinking recently, you know, my life was going fantastic for a few years. I was like, oh, brilliant. Yeah. You know, I'm in my late 40s, everything's all done. And then bang, you get a curveball thrown in. And again, I'm now coming out the other side and thinking, now I've got another layer of my coaching skills. I'm another layer wiser. I'm another layer, and it's easier when you're out the other side to go, oh right, okay, that's okay, that happened. I'm glad that happened. Now it's not so good when you're in the thick of it though.
No. But I think that when you do get used to embracing challenge, you embrace it and you find the ability, because you know that challenge is there because you need to learn something. And that I actually believe we are not given any challenge that we can't cope with.
No.
And once you get that in your head, then you keep moving forward and you keep developing, and fear gets subsided. Then it doesn't come up and stop you in the same way. you're much more able to look at the challenge straight in the eye and say, right, bring it on. What is in here? And I'm just going to hold it until I work this out. And the Fierce and Fabulous Society felt like that in its conception, I can tell you. It felt really difficult. It's a lovely looking brand. And oh my God, see that dress that I wore that day for that photo shoot? It was lovely. I don't know about Karen Millen's sizing, because I had to go up 3 sizes to fit my backside into one of them. Tiny. But I had just had fun. I'm definitely I've always said I'm a frustrated performer. God put me on the earth with enough voice to sing in the church, but I wouldn't sing publicly. And so when I get in front of a camera or a video, I just have fun with it.
I'll just say to anybody watching as well, I have seen this lady's Tina Turner, and it is, she's got it going on. I will say that. I will say Fierce is not the half of it.
Do you know why I do that? I'll tell you why I do it, folks. We were at a karaoke, and it was like everybody has to sing, and that actually, people think, Kim, I am an extrovert. Between you and me, I'm not. I am so not. I'm probably more an ambivert, that there's a bit of a balance between extroversion and introversion. I'm actually quite shy. I am quite shy. Honestly, and there's a friend of mine, Belinda, and she always just rolls her eyes and laughs when I try and call myself an introvert. But honestly, I need recuperation and rest time. And there's times that even my husband, who you would think is more introverted, he wants to go out, speak, talk. And I just want to be able to hide in the background and just have my own wee space. So when it comes to very public things like that, I've built little strategies where I can perform, I can do the show, I can do the dance. And if I do all of that, everybody jumps about and sings, and I don't have to sing because my singing's crap. So that's
I was just thinking as well, though. So now thinking of you saying that, I was thinking of you that day. And so you handled that the way you just described you handle the challenges that you've had in your life. You know, like, okay, bring it on. Okay, here it comes. I'm just going to dive straight into it, go through it, and just bring it on. Hit me with your best shot, and head on.
And there wasn't anything faking it. I adored every single minute when I went, hello, London, and off I went. I loved it. But do you know what I did after it? I didn't need the limelight when it was done. I went and got myself a drink and sat quietly in another corner in another room. I was quite happy at it. But oh boy, it was good. And I've just seen Kerry Hales has just put up Proud Mary. Yeah, it was Proud Mary. And anybody who was at my wedding also had to endure that whole performance. So watch this space. I might do a YouTube video.
I was just going to say, right, I can feel it live coming on with the whole Tina Turner.
Oh my goodness.
So okay, so we have now got the Fierce and Fabulous Society. The group is there. Who's it for? Who do we want in it? Who's going to be a part of this journey with you?
Well, do you know, Facebook and all the platforms can just exhaust me. How many times hands up, folks, honestly.
It sucks the life and fun out of business sometimes for me.
It really does. It really does. And the group itself is absolutely not about piling in numbers. It's not just about inviting people. And do you know what? I don't know. I've done this. You get an invitation. So Kim's inviting you to join. I just go, all right, join. And that's it. There's no effort. They ask me to fill in questions. I don't bother. And I just say join.
Yeah.
It's not about that. So when you if you're going to come and join that group, you have to be ready to say, I want to be the fierce and fabulous woman I was born to be. And you don't have to not feel scared. Feeling scared's fine. Feeling unsure, not knowing how, that's absolutely fine. But you just need to be able to be ready to show up, to share, to contribute, to support other people, to comment. Because unless you are there active, you won't get anything from it. And there's no point in being in there. There's no point. And I'll often say, I'm 100% ready to show up, 100% ready to show up to help you to be the most vibrant, fierce and fabulous woman that you are. But you have to be ready to make that shift too.
Yeah.
And if you do that, there'll be a ton of support in there to be able to help you to have a community of like-minded women. Imagine if every single woman in there was exactly the same place with that intention to be able to start to have her voice heard, and what that does in that community. It's like my coaching programs. I don't invite anybody into my room. It's not a case of you can afford me, so come on in. I have learned that unless you have the right people in your space, you may as well just offer somebody a bat when they come into your room and say, hit me whenever you like. Because they won't do this what's needed, they won't take responsibility, and when they don't get the results, guess what? They'll blame you and everybody else. So it's really selective. The people that come in, they can be, they want to be ready to be butterflies. They really do. So it's a place of action, it's a place of community, it's a place of friendship and support, it's a place of vibrancy, so that you can start to connect to that more fierce and fabulous version of you that is completely unique.
Brilliant. And what sort of stuff's going to be going on in there? Because I know you've got some quite cool plans of stuff you're going to do. There's going to be opportunity to have a bit. Because I'm thinking, okay, I know through my clients that they may come to you wanting to be fierce and fabulous, but not really feeling fierce and fabulous right at that point. They're coming to you because that's what they want, not necessarily because that's what they feel.
Yeah.
So what have you got to offer to help them make that transition and build that fierceness out?
Amazing. So what we're going to be doing, I know that when I've run a group in the past, when I had my party political Boris head on, Brandon, I structured the group up so much, it actually suffocated me. I mean, truly suffocated me. Do you know, it's like Motivation Monday and Thingy Wednesday and this Thursday, and it sucked the life out of me doing all of that. So actually, I'm going to be a bit more emergent with it. So we're going to be having, at the moment, we're trying to get the community to help build the community. That is a big thing, because it's not just about, we're in there in partnership. I'm ready to show up, but we are in partnership. I'm not ahead of anybody. I'm not behind anybody, and neither are they. We are there to support one another to help this community grow. And so we've got really fun prizes coming up, just getting people to invite from your community the people that would really benefit from that. So if anybody's sitting listening tonight and you think, oh, actually, I know Margaret, I think she'd really like that, invite Margaret. And get her into that room. We're going to be there'll be a lot of me in there as we're building this up. So I'll be doing a lot of lives, some trainings, lots of motivation stuff, lots of exploration of that journey of becoming fierce and fabulous.
Yeah.
And giving people also the opportunity to come in and speak. So I've got some amazing people that I've worked with that have transformed their businesses. I recorded one today with an incredible woman called Daisy Chillingworth, and she has a admin and support services business. And she's founded in December 2020, and this is 6 months later. And in that 6 months, she now makes the same amount of money that she made when she was in a high-flying corporate job.
Brilliant.
I know. And the transformation is quite incredible. And I think that story is so important. That's why we are doing this.
Yeah.
Because that's the powerful stuff. And being able to connect with other women in other disciplines, maybe still in corporate, ones that have come out and been able to push forward and understand how they've managed to do it. They're really powerful stories to have. And also bringing in people that have been really successful in business generally, and have overcome lots of life challenge to be able to learn from them. Mm-hmm. So I think there's also the bit that we're going to be asking the community, what do you need? Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't know everything. I don't know what you absolutely need. So there's going to be a bit of transition where we'll be checking in all the time. What would you like? What do you need? What can I bring that will help you to start to feel the little embers of your most unique self again? And that's the exciting part, that we're going to have a lot of creativity in there.
Awesome. I can't wait. I mean, I love it. I'm in there already, obviously. I think you hopefully are going a bit live in there, but and over other places as well. So where can people, are we going to put the link for anybody that isn't in there yet, where they can find it?
Absolutely. So everybody, this is streaming live tonight into my private Facebook, which is the first time I have ever streamed anything. Any of my friends in here, I was a bit crapping myself doing this, if I'm being honest. We all have boundaries to push.
This is it, isn't it? Fierce and fabulous. That is what it is about. It's about being supported in moving slowly but surely but steadily out of your comfort zone, and going live on your personal Facebook page is probably one of the scariest things, you know, that we can do, because everybody's on there, aren't they?
Oh, no. I'm not suggesting everybody's going to be listening, but at the same, you just feel quite naked, actually.
Yeah.
Do you know? So that's been a bit of pushing my boundaries tonight, live streaming there. It's also live streaming into my business page on Facebook, into my group coaching program, into the Fierce and Fabulous Society, and into YouTube.
Brilliant.
How cool is technology that it does all of that?
So
they'll be able to do replays there, and in all of those places we'll be putting the link into the Fierce and Fabulous Society. And if you go onto any of my social media pages and click onto the cover photo, there will be a description and a link in there for you to be able to just click through. And do answer the questions, because it's all about, see, that first step of coming into the room and choosing to take time to answer 2 questions says a whole ton about what's here.
Yeah.
So taking time to answer them, and I always give a personal hello to anybody that comes into that space. So it would be wonderful, no matter what position you feel you're in, and even if it's just a bit of this.
Yeah,
a wee bit of nosiness in the early stages is good.
It's not nosiness, but it's just investigation, isn't it? Sometimes being nosy, it's just inquiring, because you are, you know, like there's a fierce and fabulous women in all of us, yet we have so many, you know, like you know, so many different hats, particularly by the time you got to 50. How many different identities and hats and roles and places have you been? And so you just like, well, who am I? You know, I work with women and they're like, I don't know who I am anymore. And so, you know, actually, if you are just coming in because you're a bit nosy and curious, that's okay, because Marianne's going to get you one way or another. So,
and the thing is, it's not to be a barrier. Very often people say, oh, but I don't have a business. That doesn't matter. When people come into me who even do have business ideas, or that's their intention, they can first of all think that it's just all about learning the transactional stuff, how to have a business plan, how to financial plan, do you know, all of that. It's so not.
No.
Anybody, you can Google all that stuff, folks. Seriously, there's tons of books written on it. But what the difference is all the work that you have to do on you to be to be so connected to who you are. Because if you lead your life and your business, whatever you're doing from that place, you will feel aligned, it will feel true, it will feel with integrity, it will have authenticity. And with all of that comes the most amazing thing, and that is the ability to choose joy in your life. Yeah. And no matter what age you are, you know, no matter what age you are,
to make the most of that. So I did a stat that I used the other day. The average age for women to live to in the UK is 82. So that's the UK female average. For those of us that are lucky, you know, lucky enough, and those of us that are even lucky enough to get to 50, but that's going to fly by, guys. That is going to fly by, and you just want to make the most of every single minute.
Yeah. I mean, see, when you say that, I've got 32 years left if I live to 82. My eldest daughter is only 22. So there's still a decade. Do you know, it's at that time when you start to look at it that way, wow, with wisdom on your shoulders, with confidence in your heart, what amazing things can you do?
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's what's
incredible.
important, isn't it? It's not about how long you're here. It's just about how here you are here, you know, how present and how, yeah.
Absolutely. And I get to have you helping me to be the most fabulous version and well version of me over this journey as well. So that's always cool.
What's not to love? That's a bonus.
What is not to love? Every time I go to put something in my mouth, or I'm not exercising, or I'm thinking, you know, getting challenged about my own mindset, I think of this woman as well. And I think, oh my goodness, what's she going to say to me on Thursday? So we all need to have that. Exactly. You are watching me. But we all need key people around us. And it's only by pushing out and exploring different types of people in your life that you can identify who are the ones you want to keep close, who are the ones your values are connected to, and that you can come on and spend a lovely Wednesday speaking, talking, sharing live across platforms with. And it's funny, we said before we came on, didn't we? How long should we talk for? Now, he gave us, we'll be here for 3 hours, by the way, definitely. We did last week. And in the words of James Burke, when I asked him about the podcast, I said to him, James, how long should a podcast episode be? And he says, as long as you're interesting. So I think we've done about an hour.
Yeah, we have.
I think whether you've been interesting or not is quite subjective.
And the thing is, everyone that's leaving comments, Kerry has put her picture on, but I think you have to give permission. So you've had some great comments, but we can't actually see who has sent them just yet. But I think when we get off, we're going to be able to see.
Absolutely. And we'll take a look through those comments. I so appreciate anybody that is hung in for this hour listening to two friends chit-chatting and sharing. I really appreciate your time. It's the greatest asset that we have, and you've gifted me that for the last hour, and I so appreciate it. And for you too, Kim. And it's lovely reading some of these comments that people just resonating with story. So everybody get out there and share yours. The world needs to hear it. It truly needs to hear your voice. So thank you, Kim, for this.
Thank you. And I'm just so excited for, I'm just so excited. I just love the vibe. So I just know it's going to be an awesome place to hang out. And that's what we need. You put something on, just to close, you put something on the other day by one of my favorite people, Jim Rohn. And, you know, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend most time with. And I actually did a live myself about it the other day. And, you know, ultimately, that's what's so great about this community is you're going to be finding a little corner of the world, a little corner of the internet to hang out with awesome, like-minded women who are climbing up. So, yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much, Kim. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. And I look forward to meeting you on this fierce and fabulous journey.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you later, everyone. Bye.